Yeah, and this is America. We don't run out of bullets, we run out of bad guys, homie. You have two options in life, really. You can A, run out of ammunition, or B, be $20 trillion in debt. Go ahead and ask the Americans which one they picked.
Okay, my friend, sorry, this is amazing. What was the quote? We don't run out of bullets, we run out of bad guys. Did I understood that correct? Oh man, my friends, leave a like if you have been missing me reacting to Nick, Fat Electrician. He is amazing, right? Oh man, this tank, I know the title is America's Worst Tank, but so far, seems a really good one. Oh boy, America's Worst Tank M247 by Fat Electrician. My friends, I'm super excited for this one. But before we go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
Well, this is definitely one of the tanks of all time.
One of the tanks.
Today we're talking about the M247 Sergeant York for all.
Wait. Oh, the title is America's Worst Tank. This one looks like a beast. What is wrong with this one?
All intents and purposes, it is a futuristic anti-aircraft tank. Buh! You're so dumb, it's not a tank, it's a SPAG, a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun. Buh! Yeah, no, I'm aware, I just call it that because it's an armored vehicle with tracks and a big gun, which to 99.9% of people on the planet, it's a tank. Plus,
True.
I refuse to call it a SPAG because it sounds like a slur, okay? And if you don't believe me, if a
slur?
tanker
Why?
drives a tank, what is somebody that drives a SPAG called?
Oh wait, is this a joke? Okay, let's see. Sorry.
If you don't believe me, if a tanker drives a tank, what is somebody that drives a SPAG called?
Okay. Man, English is not a main language. If a tanker drives a tank, what do we call someone that drives a spag? A spagger? A spagger? Wait, is this a slur, my friend? I apologize already. Wait, is this because of the autism thing, the Asperger or something? Oh my god, I may have to cut this part. Okay, I may not cut actually, but I want to apologize if I said something wrong.
Now go call somebody that
You know what? We are going to run that part back. Sorry. Now I want to see if I understood this correct.
sounds like a slur, okay? And if you don't believe me, if a tanker drives a tank, what is somebody that drives a SPAG called? Now go call somebody that in public and see if you get slapped, all right? Just make it easy for everybody. Call it a tank. Anyways, the Sergeant York is an anti-aircraft tank equipped with two 40mm Bofors capable of firing 240 rounds per minute. It's capable of firing a variety of different rounds, including a proximity fuse version, which we covered a couple of weeks ago. And if you watched that video, you would know that 240 proximity fuse rounds coming at you would be a pretty formidable opponent for any airborne adversary. But it gets better because the Sergeant York is going to be equipped with a state-of-the-art radar system capable of tracking up to 48 different targets at any given moment, then automatically prioritizing which target is the biggest threat, and then it was going to send the signals to the turret to auto track and lock onto that target, and all the gunner has to do is pull the trigger. Okay, if you're not picking up.
Oh my god, the amount of technology that America had and have, you know, because this was back in the day. Imagine what they have today.
Auto track and lock onto that target, and all the gunner has to do is pull the trigger. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that America tried to create an anti-aircraft tank that was running on an aimbot. Okay, the key word here being trying, because that's not quite exactly what happened, but we're going to get into that right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Conflict of Nations, a free online.
Okay, my friends, show him all the support.
Let's get back to the video. All right, so in order to understand the Sergeant York, we've got to have a little bit of the history of air defense as a whole. So once upon a time, airplanes were invented. They were then used in warfare. Everybody kind of looked up at the sky and went, huh, that's new. But luckily, new problems usually require the same old answers.
Hey, shoot that guy.
Now we're talking like World War I, right? Warfare at this point in time, not that sophisticated. As far as weapons go, you've pretty much got guns and then bigger guns, right? There's no drones, there's no Hellfire missiles, none of that shit. So people just started shooting at it with whatever they had, everything from machine guns to 90mm artillery. And for America, one of the most effective weapons against planes proved to be none other than the Browning M250 caliber machine gun created by none other than America's patron saint of hole punching, John Moses Browning. Now, does that seem a little crude?
Okay, I was not aware of this. A machine gun from the ground is very effective against planes. Sorry, my friends, I'm kind of new to this, but I had no idea.
John Moses Browning.
That's amazing, actually.
Now, does that seem a little crude by today's standard, where we have specialized missiles and ammunition that know where the plane's at and blow up and track down the aircraft and blow it out of the sky? Absolutely, but it's perfect because it follows the KISS principle, right? What's the problem? Fast-moving planes are hard to hit. Cool, let's just shoot at it a lot with a machine gun. We'll hit it eventually. It's accuracy by volume. So World War II rolls around.
Okay.
Planes get even faster. What do?
So we are going, basically, if we want to use some boxing terms, volume punch, right? Is not, we don't have the power to give a KO. English, not my main language. But we are going basically to spam a lot of stuff and hope it works. Okay. Sorry, my friends, I pause a lot, but I really want to understand what is going on.
Hit it eventually. It's accuracy by volume. So World War II rolls around. Planes get even faster. What do? We just shoot at it even more. You know what shoots more bullets than a single Browning M250 caliber machine gun? 4 Browning 50 caliber machine guns operating off of one trigger inside of the M45 quad mount. Okay, this thing was like Frank's Red Hot, all right? We put that shit on everything. We were putting it on trucks, on armored personnel carriers. We had trailers that we'd pull.
Oh my God, what the hell was that footage, my friends? That's insane.
Red hot, all right? We put that shit on everything. We were putting it on trucks, on armored personnel carriers. We had trailers that we'd pull behind the Jeeps. It was everywhere. And the cool part about this, other than the fact that it's 4 50 caliber machine guns, is while it may not be the best thing around for shooting a plane out of the air for that very narrow application, it was a really good option for pretty much any problem that you could run into on the battlefield, right? You've got 4 50 caliber machine guns pointed up at the sky looking for enemy planes. There's no enemy planes, but there's a bunch of enemy soldiers over there. Oh, there were a bunch of enemy soldiers over there. And that's why the M45 quad mount stood the test of time, because...
So it's basically double use, you know? Yeah, oh, no one? Okay, we kill the others that are in the ground. Okay, makes sense.
There were a bunch of enemy soldiers over there. And that's why the M45 quad mount stood the test of time, because we were still slapping this thing on the back of trucks during Vietnam. We weren't really shooting down a lot of planes with it, but you know what? Every time the trees started speaking, John Moses Browning had something to say back.
Did you chop down this tree?
No.
Seeing how effective this was, the American government was like, you know, it'd be cooler than 450 calibers on the back of a truck if we took even bigger machine guns and stuck them on top of a fucking tank. So they took the M24 Chaffee tank, took the turret off, slapped 2 40mm Bofors on it, and created the infamous M42 Duster. And they used it for pretty much the same thing, mobile deforestation. They would roll up with an M42 Duster, and they had a gigantic spotlight, and whenever they heard something, they would just blast the giant spotlight out into the woods and just mow everything down so the enemy was blinded by the light. Now, if you were hunting deer, would spotlighting like that be illegal? Depending on where you live, more than likely. However, we're not hunting deer, this is war, and as you all know, it's never a war crime the first time. So the M42 Duster becomes...
That quote is amazing. Sorry, because let's be real here. Electrician is one of the best channels when it comes to storytelling about military stuff. It is amazing. But that quote is never a worst, is never a, how do you say it?
Not hunting deer, this is war, and as you all know, it's never a war crime the first time. So
okay, it's never a war crime the first time. Yeah, okay.
The M42 Duster becomes absolutely legendary among the men that use it in Vietnam. Time passes, we need to keep improving. Unfortunately, missile technology still not doing that great, so the best option we have is still accuracy by volume. How do we keep improving upon what we've already done? Let's get an even bigger gun. So they created one of my favorite vehicles of all time, the Vigilante. They took an M113 armored personnel carrier and slapped the biggest Gatling gun ever made on top of it. Now, does that make it better? No, it doesn't, but it does make it way more scary. Could you imagine being
way cooler? Look at all the style. This is basically, you know, this was the tuning back in the day.
13 armored personnel carrier and slapped the biggest Gatling gun ever made on top of it. Now, does that make it better? No, it doesn't, but it does make it way more scary. Could you imagine being held up in a building and you're like, oh, the Americans are here, and then they pull up with that monstrosity and a guy flips a switch and all those barrels start spinning right before that thing starts pissing 3,037mm rounds per minute at your building? Buh! Sounds like just a bunch of wasted ammunition to me. Buh! Yeah, and this is America. We don't run out of bullets. We run out of bad guys, homie. You have two options in life, really. You can A, run out of ammunition, or B, be $20 trillion in debt. Go ahead and ask the Americans which one they picked.
Okay, my friend, sorry, this is amazing. What was the quote? We don't run out of bullets, we run out of bad guys. Did I understood that correct? Oh man. My friends, leave a like if you have been missing me reacting to Nick. Fat Electrician, he is amazing, right? Oh man, this tank, I know the title is America Worst Tank, but so far, seems a really good one.
Bad guys, homie. You have two options.
Sorry, again. Just one more time.
To me, buh. Yeah, and this is America. We don't run out of bullets. We run out of bad guys, homie. You have two options in life, really. You can A, run out of ammunition, or B, be $20 trillion in debt. Go ahead and ask the Americans which one they picked.
Guns.
Yeah.
Lots of guns.
Then the US government came to the conclusion that missiles were going to be the way of the future, so they retired the Vigilante and replaced it with the Mauler, which was going to be an armored personnel carrier that carried a missile launcher that would fire anti-aircraft missiles. And to be honest with
you know what's crazy, my friends? The other day I was checking the emails you guys sent me, and a couple of them made me laugh because one was like this: André, you never told us in the stream what gun do you have. I was like, okay, that's a question. You guys know I don't have any guns, right? I go to prison if I have guns here. Just want to make this clear. I'm not against guns, by the way, my friends. If you love guns, buy it, but I cannot do it in my country. It's the law, basically. And the other one sent me a message on Instagram saying, André, whenever in doubt, just buy more ammo. If you make money with YouTube or something. I was like,
you, it kind of sucked for multiple reasons. One, missile technology still not that good at the time, so it wasn't very good at its job at shooting down enemy aircrafts. And then on top of it, it's a bunch of anti-aircraft missiles. It's not a giant machine gun that you could just aim at literally anything that's upsetting you. So the US government realizes, well, this isn't working. They look around and they're like, well, what do we do have that is working? And the only thing that's kind of working is the M42 Duster, still putting in work until 1988. So they say, all right, accuracy by volume it is. They take the M42 Duster and the Vigilante, they kind of merge them together and they create the VADS, the Vulcan Air Defense System, my favorite anti-aircraft weapon of all time.
Oh man.
They took the same M113 personnel carrier and then slapped a 20mm Vulcan.
You know what this one is? For some reason, I'm thinking about the A10 Artog because that's my favorite plane in America. Goes and then this was really bad. So I want to apologize to all Americans for my. I should not ever try to imitate the A10 Artog. That's a masterpiece. But I don't know. This tank is giving me vibes of the A10.
They took the same M113 personnel carrier and then slapped a 20mm Vulcan rotary cannon on top, capable of firing 6,000 rounds per minute. And again, it works kind of okay on enemy aircraft and even better on enemy everything else. Do I have any examples of this? Why, yes, I do. In 1989, during Operation Just Cause, when the United States military went into Panama to remove the dictator Manuel Noriega, a bunch of his men were held up inside of a headquarters building surrounded, to which the American forces told them, hey, you should probably go ahead and surrender, to which they were like, nah. To which the American commander said, all right, get the Vulcan up here. Go ahead and fire a warning shot at the front door.
Fire a warning shot.
Gunny, but it's an M224 60mm mortar.
I don't give a shit. Fire the fucking warning shot.
And here's what the building looked like after the warning shot, at which point all of the men inside were like, you know what, on second thought, actually, we will go ahead and surrender. The end.
Okay, my friends, you know what? I have mixed feelings because I think I should not be laughing at this. My friend, is illegal to laugh at this, right? Because people died at the end of the day. But I don't know, it's kind of funny, right? Anyone laughing? Am I the only one? Really?
At this point, the problem now is that attack helicopters are a thing, like the Soviet Union has the Mi-24 Hind, and there's a new tactic that's been developed called pop-up. Basically, an attack helicopter would fly nape of the earth, very close to the ground, hiding behind trees and other terrain features until it got close enough to your troops, and then it would just pop up, and it would fire a missile, pop back down, and dip. By the time you realized you were getting shot at, the enemy was already gone, meaning that this weapon system was basically useless against this tactic, so America had to come up with a new weapon to counter this. So again, they look around at what's working. We've got the VADS. The VADS is working pretty good. Why isn't it working here? Well, it can't target and aim at the helicopter fast enough to respond before the helicopter fires its missile and takes off. So what if we made an anti-aircraft tank with big machine guns that had some super smart radar that would be able to sense the helicopter coming from miles away and just track it, and then the second it popped up, it would shoot it down before it could shoot at us? Sounds like a good idea. Let's put together a bid packet and then let people design one and see what they come up with. So they put together
Wait, but can this actually work?
the criteria of what they're looking for. They're looking for a new anti-aircraft tank that's capable of keeping up with the M1 Abrams so it can protect them, and it needs to be able to use its radar systems to track up to 48 different targets at any given time, automatically prioritizing the most important target and auto-tracking that target. And then when it does fire, it needs to have up to a 50% hit rate from up to 2 miles away. Now, that sounds pretty cool, but it is a pretty big undertaking. Like, that's a big ask for the technology at the time. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, what I'm trying to tell you is they basically have two different strategies for air defense at the time. Okay, we have the keep it simple, stupid method. Okay, let's get a big machine gun and shoot a lot of bullets till we hit the target. Okay,
I like
and it's really convenient because not only is it good for shooting down planes, machine guns work on pretty much everything, so it's a very versatile weapon. And then we have the cutting edge technology option, you know, things like missiles. Historically, they haven't worked that great up until this point because, well, missile technology just isn't that good. But the technology
because they did not have they could not track right the GPS thing was not working on missile, right? Am I saying I'm so insecure talking about this type of stuff because maybe that technology was already available, but maybe they could not track that well the plane.
They haven't worked that great up until this point because, well, missile technology just isn't that good. But the technology is going to get better eventually, right? But even then, the problem still remains that you now have a big weapon system with a very, very specific, narrow skill set that it needs to be used in, right? If you have a fucking tank that shoots anti-aircraft missiles and you're in a firefight with 300 guys on the ground, it's not really that helpful. So what if we merged the two together? What if we took the desired accuracy of a missile and then applied it to a couple of giant machine guns? Basically, what if we stuck an aimbot inside of the M42 Duster? It would be the perfect weapon. So they have the perfect plan. They have the perfect vision. The only problem is this is a pretty big ask for the technology of the late 1970s, early 1980s. So obviously we're just gonna
this is in the 70s and the 80s. Okay.
let the engineers with the military
I mean, yeah, it's the Vietnam War. Okay, makes sense. Sorry.
technology of the late 1970s, early 1980s. So obviously we're just gonna let the engineers with the military contractors do their thing and build the weapon the way we want it. No, absolutely not. The government steps in and is like, no, we need to cobble this thing together with a bunch of old shit that we've got laying around.
My offer is this. Nothing.
This new super advanced anti-aircraft tank needs to be made out of the hull of an old Patton tank from World War II. In addition to that, instead of developing a new radar specifically designed for this mission set, I want you to just take a radar out of an F-16, you know, the radar for a fighter jet that's used to operating in open airspace with no objects around it whatsoever. Yeah, I want you to take that radar, shove it in this thing that's sitting on the ground, surrounded by other solid objects to fuck with the radar and just make it work. So 5 contractors get selected, spare the same.
Wait, but now I'm a bit, my friends, now being a bit more serious. I know I have a lot of people that understand a lot about military technology, but the F-16, could, send missiles to follow other planes, right? This was available technology at this point. That jet is a legendary one, would you guys agree? So they are trying to put the radar on the tank. Okay, interesting.
To fuck with the radar and just make it work. So 5 contractors get selected, spare the same guys that made the Vigilante, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Ford Aerospace, and General Electric all get to work on making a prototype. In the meantime, we got to come up with a cool name, right? Okay, it's going to be the super badass state-of-the-art tank. It's going to be just like this expert marksman with an aimbot inside of it that's capable of shooting and auto-tracking anything. What should we name it after? I know the answer. Let's name it after Alvin York, aka Sergeant York, the World War I hero that was a renowned sharpshooter. Makes perfect sense. That's a great name from a great man. Now we just have to build a tank that lives up to that name, and to be honest with you, we're off to a horrible start. So blueprints for the prototypes get submitted. They pick the two best options. Those are from Ford Aerospace and General Dynamics. So they go ahead, they give Ford and General Dynamics $79 million each to build their prototype, and then they send them into testing to go head to head. In testing, they have the tanks out on the field. They have a bunch of drones fly by. The General Dynamics tank shoots down 19 drones, and the Ford tank shoots down 9. So naturally, they give General Dynamics the bid.
Damn, that's a big difference.
I'm just kidding. They give it to Ford. Why the fuck would they do that? Well, apparently they went ahead and decided that they liked the idea of having the 40 millimeter ammunition that Ford was using over the 35 millimeter ammunition that General Dynamics was using, even though the bid specified it could be any caliber between 30 and 40 millimeter.
Here's what I heard. Blah, 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 size, bigger. And bigger is better.
So Ford goes ahead and they get the bid with their tank that was literally less than half as effective as the General Dynamics version. So Ford then
My friends, this one caught me by surprise. Why the hell they give this to Ford?
Bid with their tank that was literally less than half as effective as the General Dynamics version. So Ford then goes, takes the money, builds 4 prototypes, and then starts manufacturing like 150 more of these things. The prototypes get put into testing and they perform absolutely terrible. Now, the Sergeant York tank is supposed to be able to use its radar to lock onto enemies in 2 different ways. One, it can track motion, ideally the props on a helicopter spinning, and it'll lock onto that. And the backup is that it's got thermals so it can lock onto heat signatures. Again, this is being powered by a radar that's out of an F-16, which was designed to operate in open airspace. So that radar is confused by trees and buildings. And if the guns aim up, the gun barrels interfere with the radar as well. So it's pretty much confused about everything.
Damn, okay, now this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because in the air, if something appears, they know it's a thing that they have to take care of. But in the ground, it's completely different. Okay, at the beginning, I was not understanding. But that's why I do so many pauses and being very honest with you, my friends, because I really want to follow the story, you know. And at the end of the day, I really enjoy this type of videos.
Aim up, the gun barrels interfere with the radar as well, so it's pretty much confused about everything.
The tree is talking.
Tree?
Lord of the Rings.
I am no tree.
If that wasn't bad enough, due to all the added weight from the 240mm Bofors and the radar and all the other equipment that's packed inside of this thing, it weighed way more than it was supposed to, meaning that it was too slow to keep up with the M1 Abrams, which was its entire point for existing. Eventually, some politicians start asking questions, which means journalists start asking questions, then they start writing articles, and then there's public outcry that the government's wasting money on this tank. So in 1984, the Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger, steps in and he's like, you know what? We're gonna figure out if this thing actually works with even more testing, and this testing is gonna cost $54 million. Now it's getting covered by the press. They've got the Sergeant York out there doing this expensive testing, and it's not able to shoot down a single drone that's moving like an actual combatant would move. So then they resort to just flying the drones low and slow in a straight fucking line, which is something an enemy aircraft would never do, and it still can't hit. But then it finally grazes one.
But I ticked it. It hit the bed.
You're still out.
You're still back.
Now, it doesn't shoot the drone down, but it did damage it. And according to protocol, the dude running the drone immediately hits the self-destruct button to blow it up. That way the drone didn't fly off and crash into something important, which is exactly what he was supposed to do. But all the journalists that were there interpreted that as the Army trying to rig the testing to make the Sergeant York look like it was effective. So now there's even more public outcry that we need to quit wasting money on this tank because the Army has invested billions upon billions of dollars in this thing and it simply doesn't work. So then they go out and they have the helicopter drone just hover, which is something that would never ever happen, but that's what they do. And the York still cannot shoot down the drone. So then they add a bunch of radar reflectors to make it even more obvious to the York's radar where this helicopter is and have it be completely stationary. One of the lead journalists on this story described this as the equivalent to, and I quote, testing a bloodhound's ability to track a man by covering him with beefsteaks and standing him still alone upright in the middle of a parking lot. And the Army is like, no. It works. It works and it's awesome. You know what we're going to do? Let's go. We're going to have a bunch of British officers and Australian high-ranking officers and Congress people that doubt us and bring them out to the field, and we're going to put on a demonstration and show them how awesome this thing is. And you know what? While we're
Oh no, I feel like this will go bad because this is not working. How the hell will this new demonstration will go well?
The field, and we're going to put on a demonstration and show them how awesome this thing is. And you know
Okay.
what? While we're at it, you know who else would love to see how effective this tank is? Alvin York's widow, who is 82 years old. We should bring her out here with Congress and show off the awesome tank that we named after her husband. So that's what they do. They go out to the training field, they get a nice set of aluminum bleachers, you know, the ones that burn your ass every time you go to your nephew's Little League game, those ones, and they set them out there. They get Congress, a bunch of high-ranking foreign military guys, and Alvin York's widow sitting out there looking at the Sergeant York on the practice field, and the only thing in eyesight is the latrine. The demonstration kicks off, the first drone's flying by. The operators inside the Sergeant York turn on the radar. It's supposed to auto lock onto the helicopter. It's literally the only thing that's moving. And instead of beaming up to lock onto this helicopter drone, it immediately pans over and aims at the latrine because it sees the movement from the exhaust fan and interprets that as the closest viable target and aims at that instead. Drone finishes its flyby. Nothing happened. Okay, drone loops back around to do another flyby. Operators inside the Sergeant York are like, okay, rough start. No big deal. We locked onto the shitter instead of the helicopter. It's fine. Let's switch.
Wait, my friends, but why are they so confident on this? Because they have no reason for that.
Over to heat signature. So they switch over to lock onto a heat signature, and it does exactly what it was programmed to do. It locks on to the closest heat signature, which is not the helicopter, it's the hot-ass bleachers with all the congressional members and Alvin York's widow on it. So now Congress and Alvin York's widow are looking down the barrels of two 40mm Bofors, at which point everybody begins running and jumping off of these bleachers for obvious reasons. Some of the Congress people and military officers get hurt, they twist their ankles, whatever, and obviously this ends up being the end of the Sergeant York program, and it is considered a gigantic failure.
What, are we returning credit? Keep my name out your mouth!
Today, there's only a couple left in existence. There's one in the Alvin York Historical Park.
You know what, my friends? Normally, when I react to this type of videos, America comes out on top. This was not the case, my friends. This was bad. But you know what? It's kind of a crazy story. Well, thank God that this ended up not shooting against the people. Because otherwise this story will be quite more dark. I guess you eat some and you miss some. You know what I mean? America at the end of the day have such amazing technology when it comes to military. But probably there is a lot of similar stories to this one, that they spend a lot of money and at the end of the day it does not work. But for a moment I was kind of scared. Maybe people died. Well, at least that was not the case, right?
Mouth!
Today, there's only a couple left in existence. There's one in the Alvin York Historical Park in Tennessee, and the other one is inside of the Air Defense Training Facility.
I don't care if this is bad. It looks beautiful, sorry. But
One in the Alvin York Historical Park in Tennessee, and the other one is inside of the Air Defense Training Facility at Fort Sill, both of which stand as gigantic 54-ton, $8 billion examples of you should probably just follow the KISS principle and keep it simple, stupid. Speaking of the Air Defense Training Facility, I do have to give a special thank you to Corey, the curator of that facility, and Fort Sill as a whole for letting me and my friend Ethan, Mr. Habitual Line Crosser here on YouTube, to come on to post and get an exclusive tour for our new Pepperbox exclusive TV show, Habitually Fat. That tour is where I got a lot of
Damn, that seems... Is that content on YouTube?
this information, and we filmed the entire thing, and that is our first episode ever, and it is up on Pepperbox right now if you wanted to go check it out.
Aircraft circles back around. Now we're using the heat-seeking option.
Pepperbox.
And so this thing, again, switch the system on, everything checks out immediately. We pick up two targets. Now the catch is, we've got an aircraft inbound, but we've also set up some nice aluminum bleachers off here, off to the side. And it begins to track on those aluminum bleachers. And Congress finds themselves looking down the barrels of two hot 40 millimeters. At that point, basically, they jump off of the bleachers. You get sprained ankles. When you hurt Congress, that's going to be the end of your program.
It worked perfect. Why are they mad?
It worked perfully, just not
on the shit house and the politicians. It's perfect. It's a perfect machine. It hates piles of shit. It's awesome. This is my new favorite tank. Other than that, thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Ow. Okay, Alfred, this was amazing.
Oh yeah, and don't forget to go check out Conflict of Nations. You get to pick your favorite country, mainly America, or you know, if you like losing, you can pick somebody else. Don't forget to use my code to get all.
Well, Portugal for World War III, maybe not the best pick. Well, friends, that said, thank you so much for watching. This was amazing. I believe from time to time Fat Electrician watches my videos, so if that's the case, my friend, this was awesome. Thank you for such amazing content. I mean, what can I say? Was that plane good? A plane, tank was not good at shooting planes, is what I mean to say. Was that tank good? No. And almost ended up killing a lot of people. But it was a beauty, and I like that America likes to try different stuff, because at the end of the day, that's for me, that's kind of the American spirit. So yeah, there is a bunch of Fat Electrician videos that I never watched. You guys tell me in the comments. Actually, this is for the ones that are watching until the end. Leave me the number 8. Yeah, number 8. 4 plus 4. Number 8. If I should watch more Fat Electrician videos, because this one was awesome, and I kind of been missing reacting to more content related to military, but for me, the military stuff is quite more fun when there is storytelling, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know, for me, it's more enjoyable to follow the story. But, yeah, you guys decide. Leave me the number 8 if I should watch more Fat Electrician videos. That said, thank you so much for watching until the end. Really means a lot. See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.